Well, hello, hello. It is January 1st, 2026, and I am recording this video as something that I can look back on, not just a year from now, but also throughout the year. I really find it valuable to have a practice of having the self-awareness of knowing when I'm in a place of clarity and seeing a lot of possibility and opportunity and energy, and using those moments to almost bottle it up and capture it, right? And send almost message in the bottle to myself when somehow I've lost my way, or when I have somehow been discouraged, or need a little pep talk, right? We all find our moments where we are off track a little bit from where we wanted. And I think that's been a lot of my journey in self-discovery, in writing, in journaling, and sharing. Is half the time I go back and I reread my own stuff and I rewatch my own stuff, because it's like there's another version of myself that's there telling me something and reminding me of something. And I find that really valuable for myself. And there's also the element of accountability, right? I love, going out on the skinny branch, putting myself out there, and, that accountability of just saying hey, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I'm dreaming. This is what I'm creating. And there's a vulnerability of, what if it doesn't happen, right? What if I really want this and I talk about it and all of this stuff and it doesn't happen, right? There's a vulnerability there, and it takes courage. And this is something that I like to do. It's something I like to model. I teach my clients this as well in my coaching practice. And I figure let me send this for myself, but also if you're listening and maybe some of it could inspire you. And maybe not, right? But I have had the experience of making a decision, right? So New Year's tends to be a special time for me, just in previous years. The last few years is I'm a little nervous recording this. I'm noticing that. I just want to say it, call it out. It's hi, future self. Okay. 2019. New Year's Eve, I made myself a promise. I've written about this, I've shared about this a lot, and I ended up making a promise that New Year's that ended up changing my whole life. And basically I said, this is going to be the year that I finally learned how to love myself. Because at that point, my life was crumbling down. I had was just getting out of a really tumultuous separation with who was my partner at the time, my former partner. And I was so lost. There was a lot of just not knowing who I was anymore, right? For a lot of reasons and context and all of that. But at the bottom of the story, bottom of the story was that I didn't know who I was anymore. And I said, if not now, when? And I made a decision that year that this was going to be the year that I really start to get to know who Jolie is and start to learn how to accept her, maybe like her a little bit, and maybe even learn how to love myself. And I did. And to see the power that made by taking just those little actions every day, and how it's compounded to where I'm at now, where I work for myself, helping other people through the journey that I've went through. First off, that's wild. Being an entrepreneur, working for myself was never really part of the plan. Not something that I was raised with a lot of examples of what that looked like. I didn't really trust that I had what it takes. It's scary. It takes a lot. And that's what I do today, right? There's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of joy in it. There's a lot of just passion, right? With creating my life today that is more and more aligned with my authentic passion and drive, right? I get to talk to people about really deep and meaningful stuff every day. And it's so beautiful. It's so rewarding. It's so fulfilling. But so I've seen the power that a commitment can make. And I'm making what feels like an even bigger commitment this year. And that is that I'm committing to being big and taking up space and not being afraid to let my voice be heard. And I know that's kind of vague, right? But I, you know, I struggle just as much as anyone else with moments of self-doubt and, not believing in myself, right? Questioning my value, questioning my worth. Now, obviously, based on everything you see that I do in my life, right? Like it doesn't hold me back. I'm able to still take action and create proof, create evidence for why I am, the type of person that makes like a really great impact on people's life. But there's still moments where I question it, right? And I realize that despite all the actions I do take, there are a lot of actions that I don't take, right? As some form of like self-sabotage or just, it's scary. It's scary out there, right? To like really put myself out there to be rejected when I'm going for like some big speaking gigs and big training opportunities. It can be scary. And, I feel like this year has been a journey of finally accepting that it's time, right? Like it's time to face some of my fears. It's time to do some of the work that I've really not wanted to do because it's scary. And, I just have such a great energy and a hope and a vision for the impact that I want to make on the world. And I want to share some of that, right? Even just as a reminder to myself of like, why am I doing all this, right? And it's hard. Money is not a motivator for me. I've actually learned from being a business owner that I actually had a lot of disempowering beliefs around money that have almost like pushed money away from me in a sense, because the way that I was raised, there were a lot of connotations about just money not being a great thing. And the people who have a lot of money are not great people. And subconsciously, I didn't realize, right? But subconsciously, that's really like worked in a way where I am holding myself back from being more successful. And not in the sense of like, oh, I want to make more money, but I want to make more of an impact. And money is just a tool that gets me there and then enables more impact. And, I'll just tell you a quick story, right? The other day, recently, I was like clearing out some like old messages from my website. And I've been, that's something, I do great with people, right? And talking about this stuff that I'm really passionate about. But when it comes to like emails and invoices and admin and website, like, oh my God, just makes me want to pluck my eyes out. So anyway, I finally like sit down and I do it. And I see that there are some messages that people have sent me. And this is embarrassing to say, right? But there are messages that people sent me 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months ago, trying to ask me for some information about coaching, about me. Maybe they were interested. And I never responded. But here's the kicker, right? Is that normally, right, or in the past, the version of me that would have showed up in that moment, seeing that like, wow, there is like all these opportunities to work with people on the table and I've just ignored it. I would have beaten myself up pretty bad, right? A lot of the shame of what the heck is wrong with you? Right? Like, how does it take 9 months, 10 months to, like, there is no excuse. Like, you are, I would have really just beat myself down. And like, that is almost like the default that I've programmed myself to over a lot of years. And recently, I'm leaning into a different pattern. And it feels really good, where I'm looking at those emails, I'm seeing that it's 9, 10 months, and I'm laughing. And I'm like, wow, I've really dreaded this work, haven't I? I was able to like take a deep breath and like send myself some compassion where it's like, hey, I get it. This is really hard. It's taken us a long time to do this and we're doing it now. And we're not gonna let this happen again, right? Like, because it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay, right? And it's a lot of like nervous system work to regulate, to like really not just say the words, right? Like some mantra, but to like really like take a deep breath and trust it. Like in my body, I do not need to be afraid of this expansion, of being seen by more people, of having an impact on more people. It's okay, right? There are going to be some people that disagree vehemently with what I have to share, what I have to say. There are going to be some people that think I'm, terribly wrong or just hate me or don't like me. And to be at a place of accepting that and almost welcoming it, right? Where it's like, I know what I'm signing up for by saying that I have a message that I want to share. It's important enough that it's beyond, it's worth getting beyond my own fears to share it. Because it's not about me, it's about like this greater good that's out there. And that if there are people who don't like that, or people who attack me or whatever it may be because of it, like that's okay. It's okay, right? And in fact, that would be a reason for celebration, right? Because it means that I'm being big, right? And I'm sharing and I'm putting it out there and I'm not expecting everyone to agree. And that's okay. But the people who do resonate with what I have to share and like can connect with this story, I know that what I have to share will be, like hit the spot for them. And that's why I do it, right? And sometimes that person that it hits the spot for is me, right? In the future, when I get to look back at my own stuff. So that's part of what just keeps me going. And, if I just had to share more of like, what is this message, right? There's like some hope and faith, right? I have had I feel like I've lived multiple lives in a sense. I have had so many chapters of my life already that I've needed to, that have been really painful. And I've needed to work really hard to overcome and heal from and process. And, I have had a tendency of minimizing a lot of my pain and my story for a long time, right? Meanwhile, right, I am a child of two parents who are both people who have experienced a lot of trauma and have not processed it. I experienced myself a lot of trauma, right? Whether emotional, physical, sexual, spiritual, it's all in my story. And I have dealt with grief and loss and heartbreak. I have been in abusive relationships, abusive dynamics, people who have caused me a lot of harm. And I've had to learn how do I put all these pieces together, right? I was in a religious fundamentalist church for a while. I learned how to hate gay people, which I didn't realize that I was one. I realized that that wasn't doing it for me, and I found drugs. And I'd be blacking out and just hated the feeling of being sober. It felt like life was just too heavy for me, right? And I went through a path and a journey of addiction to learn I was spiritually dead. I was dead. I was not connected. I was not joyful. I was angry. I was hurt. It's just, I was lost. And when I was 18 years old, I found recovery. And that was the start of my new journey, to realize like, oh, there's beauty in here. I really hated myself, and I saw a lot of things I should be guilty for, feel guilty for, and a lot of things I regretted, and just this pain I'd caused. I thought I was like just a toxic impact on the world, right? And that's how I saw myself, and I was really closed off. And the process of recovery taught me how to allow love and connection into my life. And it's been a heck of a journey, right? I've been in recovery. In just a couple of days, it'll be 15 years. And, and it sounds like a long time, but really what I would say is the last 6 years have been its own chapter of, I left a emotionally abusive relationship that I was in for the majority of my 20s. And that really brought me to a low that I really had to dig out from and say, what am I doing? Who am I? How did I allow this to happen? How did I get here? Right? That feeling of starting over and just feeling so lost. And it was really then that I started this journey of like, I need to figure out who I am. I need to learn how to love myself. And in that journey, I learned how to feel. I learned that actually the key to, a happy, fulfilled life is not about being happy and like smiling all the time. It's actually about widening my capacity for feelings in general. Because if I can widen the capacity for one side, it kind of works in parallel, right? If this is joy and this is, pain or hurt or grief, you might say, which love and grief are kind of this, two sides of the same coin, side note, but the way most people see it, right? Like joy and pain. I can't just feel these positive emotions and numb out the rest. And actually, it's about if I can make room to feel all of it without needing to run away, without needing to escape it, without needing to control it or use a drug or a drink to numb it, it's actually like a superpower, right? And I learn how to like let these emotions flow through me in a way that just gives me a lot of peace and a lot of clarity and a lot of beautiful things. I get to connect with other people. I get to like tune into my intuition and like this higher sense, right? Like this higher intuition and connection with the universe and like my path and what the right step is, where I'm meant to be. And that journey I realize has given me just this ability to see people as people. And there's this quote I love by there was a mother of a child who was killed at the Sandy Hook shooting, and she says there's two types of people in the world. There's good people, and there's good people who are in pain. Now imagine this woman saying that when a gunman just shot down her like 5 or 6-year-old kid. For her to say that is like, whoa, okay, this isn't just like a happy person saying it. Like she's gone through an immense amount of pain, and somehow she's come to that realization. And I've come to the same, right? That people are good. All these people that have caused me an immense amount of pain and hurt and trauma and scars that I'll never be able to fully get rid of. I don't think they're evil people. I don't. I know they're not evil people, right? What they did was immensely painful and hurtful and damaging and unacceptable. And I don't think they're evil. I think they are good people who are in a lot of pain and fear. And hurt people hurt people. Right? There's that saying in recovery, right? Like if we're not dealing with our own pain, we're just bound to cause pain to other people. And that's how I make sense of all that I've been through, is that, my parents they did the best they could. And they cost me an immense amount of pain from the things that they grew up with that maybe they thought were standard practice, right? That was really damaging. And the process of feeling your feelings, the process of learning how to grieve, the process of tuning in allows me to start to disentangle those seemingly contradictory truths. That I can both love this person and be immensely hurt and pained and need to like set boundaries, or in some cases even like remove myself from being in connection with this person and still love them, right? Like these do not cancel each other out. These can both coexist with the same amount of power and truth. And that is something, I call it standing in the contradiction, right? Being able to embrace these two seemingly opposing views or feelings or truths, and being able to sit and hold both of them and realizing that it's not one or the other, right? And this is a problem I see in society today, specifically in our political discourse, where people are black or white in terms of like their views. Either you're on my side or you're on the other side. You're right or you're wrong. And if you are on my side, you're one of the good people. And if you're on the other side, you're obviously messed up, right? Something's wrong with you. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you see all of this, right? Like, how do you see all this political stuff, right? When you see people who are seemingly against like human rights, like how do you maintain a connection with people like that? How can you possibly accept that, right? Or some people even go as far to say, like, if I am even friends with someone who voted differently than me, then I am like turning a blind eye to the pain or the damage that's being caused. And I can see why they would say that. And I can see why they believe that. And I'm not here to change their mind, right? But if people are actually curious, right, it's that I can hold these two beliefs, right? I have friends that are like closer to me than family, and we're on different sides of the political aisle. And you might say, like, how does that happen? How do you do that, right? Like, I can't be friends with somebody that is on the other side, because that would be me saying, like, turning a blind eye to these values that are really important to me. And what I would say is that we are, so many thoughts, like, how do I say it concisely? I don't believe that people on the other side are bad. Just like I don't believe that everything, like I don't believe that I'm on the right side and that there's a right and a wrong. Like, if I need to be able to accept that whatever side I'm on, there are going to be some things that I don't agree with, right? Just given our system today, right? You have two choices and you're going to agree with everything on one side or the other? Really? Right? So I would say, like, if you agree wholeheartedly, maybe you're not like doing enough of your own critical thinking and analysis of what your own values and beliefs are. So I'm able to see that even on the side that I'm on affiliated, like I don't even really affiliate, right? I'm kind of independent, but there are going to be things I disagree with. And you know what? I can talk to somebody on the other side of the aisle. And if I'm able to get curious and ask questions and lean in with curiosity and true listening, and not defensiveness, not trying to persuade them, not trying to convince them, not focusing on how I feel attacked, if I can really lean in with curiosity and get to know them on a deep level and understand what goes on behind the scenes for them, that makes them make that choice of where they fall in a certain opinion of, you know, an issue. At the end of the day, we find that we have a lot more in common than that we have that's different, right? And that creates a gray, right? Where it's not just black and white, us or them. It's about like, oh, there's like, we actually have a lot in common, but we differ here. But like, I don't think you're a bad guy. Well, you just see it differently. And I get why you would see it, right? Like there's room for the like nuance. But the thing is, our society today, our media, our social media, and most of the loud people out there that you'll hear anything about, don't want to give any room for that nuance. It's just you're with me or you're against me. And I find that really sad, right? Because like that, I see me on the other side, right? Like I was that person who was homophobic. I was that person who was intolerant. I was that person. And it's not like I changed from a bad person to a good person. No, I was always a good person. I just had like different beliefs at the time that I thought were rooted in goodness, right? Like, I thought it was the best thing for me to help gay people realize that they're going to hell, but they have a chance to change. Like, while that was misguided and hurtful and damaging, yes, the motivation that drove me to those actions and behaviors was out of a place of trying to fill this need of like helping them not suffer, right? So it's about like digging a little bit deeper where I can see that, okay, maybe I was a little misguided, right? But like it came from a place of love. I could even say that about people in addiction, right? I don't think people in addiction are evil. Sometimes they do hugely damaging things. Yes. And do we need consequences? Yes, absolutely. Right? There is some behavior that is wrong and we need to, it's unacceptable, right? And I don't believe that behavior is based from a place of this evil person who just wants to create harm and damage. No. If we look deeper, and you'll learn this in the principles of like nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg, right? If we look at like human psychology, all of our behavior is fueled by a desire to fill a need. And sometimes we have a very twisted and manipulative way to try to fill that need, but it's still to try to fill a need, right? It's like to support life. So for an addict who is maybe, stealing to try to like fill their habit, it's that they have a need, right? Like they feel this sense of, if I don't steal and have the money and then have this drug, I'm gonna die. Right? Or like I am at risk, or like it's just so scary, it'll be so painful and I need to protect myself, so I'm willing to hurt somebody else. I'm not saying that behavior is acceptable, but I'm saying that if we can understand the reasoning why, it can help us hold the compassion and the understanding that this doesn't have to be an evil person. We can see that there is goodness in them, and we can work on the behavior. We can work on the beliefs that led them to that behavior. But we need to get to this place of underlying there being a core goodness in us. And I seem to be able to hold that belief very easily. And I want to share that because it creates a lot less chaos and a lot more peace and a lot more connection and beauty. When I can hold that belief, it means that like I've backpacked throughout Europe and I end up in like really beautiful connections and conversations with people across the world that I've never met before, because we have the same underlying experience of being human. It's painful. It's scary. We're wired for survival, and we don't get a manual of how to deal with this experience of like being in this body and like what even are we and what are we doing, like, right? Like whoa, when we can connect on that level, there's so much beauty. And, I feel like in this past year, I have been developing like the most the strongest sense of spirituality and trust with the universe and like my higher self, my calling that I've ever had before. And it's really cool. And that's what fuels me, is to leave an impact and make an impact to spread more love and hope and healing and just connection with people, right? I've come to like really understand that I am a spirit, right? That happens to embody this meat skin suit here, right? I am not my body. I am this thing, though, that seems to wake up every day, like in this body for the last few decades. But this body thing is not me. This body thing is just like my way of navigating through this world in a physical way. And, I've learned more of like, who is that someone that's on the inside, right? Who is the me? Who is the I? And, I've learned that like if it's almost like if we all have a little like radio dial of like our norms or like our default energy, right? Or that sort of thing. I just so happen to have a dial that tends to be pretty consistent. Like it changes maybe slightly the station, but like it doesn't go pretty crazy. Like it's pretty firmly set to this dial of love. And that's despite all of these things in my life that have happened that would have every reason to move it the other way towards like anger and feeling guarded and not trusting anybody and all of that, being resentful. And I've been that person, right? And to now be on the other side of that just gives me so much hope, where it's like, to a place where I can grieve and heal and forgive, where I don't know if I would do it differently if I had a choice. Like all of these hardships that I've been through, these traumatic events, I don't know that I would want to take it back if I could. And this is just for me, right? Because I've managed to take all of these ingredients that I've been given in my life, right? And somehow like make something really beautiful out of it. And I don't know if I would have been able to make something this beautiful without it. I don't know. I'm sure I would have made something else. It's almost like if I'm in my kitchen and I want to make a cake, but I don't have flour and I don't have oil. So I need to improvise and use these other ingredients that I didn't really, like maybe I don't have flour, but I have almonds. So I'm like crushing almonds, to like, all right, we'll see if almond flour works. And I don't have oil, but I have like applesauce or like yogurt. Like sometimes you can swap that in. So I'm like, I don't know if this will work, but like it's all I have. And I'm going to try to make a cake. And I make this cake and it actually ends up being like, this is a pretty good cake. And I never would have had the opportunity to taste this type of cake if I didn't have all of that lack of what was supposed to be here, right? Where I might even prefer that cake that I made over like a normal out of the box if I had all the normal stuff. And I feel like that's where I'm at, right? Is like, and that's, I guess, the theme or the message, right, is like to be able to take the shittiest things and make it beautiful somehow. And I've seen this over and over again. I've worked with like hundreds and thousands of people, and like this is just a global, human, universal thing that like we go through some really shitty stuff, and some of us have like some really heavy burdens to carry. And I'm in no place to tell other people what they should make with the ingredients they have, or that they need to make anything, right? That's not my mission, right? But it's that there are some people out there who are looking for a way to make something out of what they have. And they're willing to go through the pain and the grief to process all that they didn't have. And all that did happen that should have never happened. And what didn't happen that should have happened. They're willing to process that. And that, I guess it's like holding this like firm, like, that, to like let people know that like on the other side of that abyss, you would never believe it, but it's something freaking beautiful. And it's almost like I've went through the fire, right? Like I've come out of the burning building, I've survived, and the fire doesn't scare me anymore. It can't, what's it gonna do? It already tried to kill me and it didn't kill me, and it's not gonna get worse. So I want to go back in the fire and hold the hand of the other people that are trying to get out. So that's what fuels me today, is that like, hey, for the people that are deep in grief, in loss, that are feeling so disconnected, that are just feeling like so stuck, that they're like, I don't know how, like just like losing any desire to, like even just losing like the energy to live. Like I remember that feeling. And like, I guess for me to be on the side that I'm at of like freedom and healing and joy, to still have such a ability to tune back into what that was like and hold space and be willing to sit with someone there in the fire as they slowly work up the courage to climb their way out. Like that is some of the most rewarding work that I do. Being able to sit with someone and hold the hand of someone who is going through what I've managed to survive. And for me to like have that hope and impart that to them. And a lot of times it's not from what I say. It's not about advice. It's not about telling the people to think positive or cheer up or like, hey, it's going to be like, no, often it's first about really getting in touch with the pain. And a lot of people are not able to do that because it's hard to sit in that pain with somebody. And if you haven't done it yourself, you can't really do it, right? Like you want to change the subject. You want to like help them cheer up fast. Like you are something, right? Like goes crazy in your nervous system. And you were like, we got to get out of here. Come on, we got to get out of here. And for me to be able to bring an energy of like, hey, I am right here. And this really sucks right now. And to be seen in that space, to be like really understood and heard and like just really seen in all of that pain, for someone to understand it and not run away, to deeply understand it, to deeply feel it and not run away, and to not turn a blind eye or lead to like judgment or whatever it is, to be able to hold space and be like, yeah, okay. To be able to hold that truth that like, yes, this is really hard. And, well, I guess it's the other side, right? That you're also a good, loving, beautiful person. And I believe in you. You're going to get through this. So I have this funny habit of hitting record before I really know what I was going to say. So anyway, that's what comes out. And, you know, a couple years ago, I made a promise to myself on my birthday that like, hey, this is going to be the best year of my life. And it was like, how can you make a promise like that? Like, you can't control what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen in this next year. It might be the shittiest year. But what I learned is that I can make that promise. I can know that, because it's not about what happens to me that determines whether or not it's a great year or whatever. But it's about, like, I can control who I'm committed to being and the energy that I am committed to showing up as. And that's how I feel about this year, is like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's going to be a big fucking year, because I'm committed to having courage, stepping out of my comfort zone even more than I already have. I'm committed to showing up. I'm committed to going through the uncomfortability and the fear and the vulnerability of these like new experiences that I've, wanted to hide away from for most of my life, right? And, what drives me to do that is to know that there are people out there that could really use the experience and the strength and the hope that I've gotten. And the fact that I can give that away, that I can use those hard-won experiences and the pain and the struggles and the failures and the falling on my face and all of that, and that I can use that now as some strength and experience for someone else to help them navigate and go through those tough moments. And I don't mean just like experience where it's like I get to share with you. I mean that it's like a part of me, in that now I get to show up as the type of person that they need in that moment. What gets better than that? Let's go. There's nothing more beautiful than like helping someone go through that journey, right? Of like making peace with themselves, making peace with the world, like learning how to get back in touch with like their inner child and find some like sense of like peace and safety and freedom and it's in there, right? Like I have such hope. You can't convince me otherwise that someone is outside of that realm of hope. And a lot of people are grieving. And grief isn't just like when someone dies, right? Like a lot of people are just going through a lot of loss. A loss of a future they imagined, or a loss of an identity that they had pictured for so long, whatever. And a lot of us aren't equipped to deal with it in a healthy way where we can process it. And if I can help make a dent in that and just help people, learn that that thing inside them is not this scary monster, right? And that there's nothing they can do that can erase the goodness that's in them. Man, I have so much gratitude, and I guess message to whoever's listening in December of 2026. Dang. Man, like, here's to just being big, right? And accepting abundance. Because it's scary when you've gotten so used to scarcity your whole life, when you've gotten so used to being alone and needing to figure it out by yourself, being like hyper independent for your whole life. It can be scary to allow good things in your life. It can be scary to let people show up for you. It can be scary to let people love you. It can be scary to let people in. It can be scary to accept that you're amazing and that what you have is something really special. That can be really disruptive and dysregulating when you've built an identity that was about you being small because that's what you needed in order to survive. So breaking out of that, that cocoon, so to speak, it's hard. And And there are going to be plenty of times where it's too scary and you want to go back to happy familiar land, right? But what I've learned in the process of growth and recovery is that there is no standing still. And that if I'm not actively moving forward, I'm moving backward. And that it may be nice to think of like, I can just stand here and like, this is cozy. Why do I have to, like, I just want to keep everything the same. Why does it have to change? And that change is the only inevitable, right? There's no standing still on a escalator. Either I'm moving up or I'm actively working to, I missed the analogy somewhere there, but, right, like there's no standing still, right? And I want to say that I believe in you, and I know that it's scary, and I know that it's scary, the idea of putting yourself out there, for a lot of people to misunderstand you, and for a lot of people to assume that they know you, a lot of people to assume that they have you all figured out, and that what's actually at the core of this is something really selfish or manipulative or just icky. And that's okay, right? We've learned that peace is not reliant on convincing everyone to see it the same way that you do. Peace comes from inside. And when you can get really in tune with that peace inside, you start to attract those people that fill you up, who you don't have to prove yourself to. They know who you are. And I gotta tell you, that is such a beautiful feeling. And it's not about quantity, right? Like you just have one of those people in your life, and it is just, you're a millionaire, right? It is $1 million to have someone like that in your life. And to not need to force it, right? To trust. So to live by those principles where you're like, I don't know the results, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to control what I do. And I'm just going to keep showing up. And I'm going to trust that if I keep showing up and I keep putting my head down and doing the work, I trust that it's all going to work out. And that who needs to hear the message is going to hear the message. Because it's forces that are bigger than me, right? And it's a relief to not be the biggest, most powerful thing in the room, right? There are much bigger forces out here than me that are loving and caring, and they care about me. And to allow yourself to be cared for. It's a beautiful feeling. And yeah, it's scary. And it's okay, right? Because I'd rather be doing something new and be afraid than be living a default life where nothing's scary. There's no risk of failure because I'm just like riding, trying to ride the wave. Because actually that, to me, that is hiding, and that's the failure, is not giving yourself a chance. So I want to tell you I'm proud of you. I don't know what you've accomplished this year. I don't know what plans you had. I don't know how it all went, but I'm proud of you, and I want to acknowledge you for who you show up as, regardless of who's looking, who you're committed to being, and just for that spirit that's inside of you that is so beautiful and just so full of love and joy and just beauty. And you just find beauty wherever you go. And you bring this like beautiful energy wherever you go without even trying. And it's not for what you do, it's for who you are. And who you are is just a beautiful, beautiful human being. You're so special. And I love you. Happy New Year.